Rights activists are calling for, claiming the dogs are being mistreated. In 2017, almost 5,000 were injured and 900 were put down.
Last month, officials from within the sport introduced a greyhound commitment regarding the responsible treatment of racing dogs. But is that enough to ensure the dog's safety? Some argue no.
Well, we're joined now by the former commentator John McCruick, who believes that the greyhound breed will die out if we ban racing, and also Kerry Elliman, who's founder of Birmingham Greyhound Protection, who wants the sport banned. Good morning to both of you. Also, we've got rescued former race hounds Eli and Gypsy in the studio there with owner Charlotte. So thanks very much for them for coming in. They're looking very happy there in the corner of our studio, aren't they?
Well, they are looking very happy, very curious as to what on earth is going on. So look, let's come to you first of all. What is your main concern? Because I was shocked at the number of greyhounds that die involved in racing. Why do they die? What's going wrong?
But my problem is with the greyhound industry. It's a self-regulated gambling industry that relies solely on the dogs to make profit and money. So as the statistics have shown, nearly 1,000 dogs lost their life last year, and 5,000
on the track
through racing. Yes, so lots of greyhounds get broken hocks. So if you imagine you're driving your car at 45 miles an hour and you have a crash, imagine what happens to your car. So a greyhound running around a track they can run in snow, rain, really harsh weather conditions. When they hit the side of the track, they're skin and bone. So they're going to break the neck, they're going to break the legs, and injuries are really high. So, one dog to me is enough. So for 5,000 dogs to be injured and 1,000 to lose their lives in 2017, when we're a nation of dog lovers, me personally, I think it's a national disgrace. They've had 100 years now to up the game and improve welfare. The welfare hasn't improved. So greyhound racing, in my eyes, needs to end. And John's argument that greyhounds wouldn't exist without greyhound racing. Now, border collies, you don't see border collies walking around the street herding sheep. People have pet dogs now that used to be working dogs.
So you say they would still have
Of course, greyhounds have been around for thousands and thousands of years. Greyhound racing's only been around 100 years. So there would still be greyhounds.
John, let's ask you, what do you feel about what Kerry's had to say? I mean, is there an argument for tighter regulations here? Do you feel that the safety measures that are put in place to protect dogs are as stringent as they could be?
So much has been done and is being done by the greyhound industry, as for all mankind. Life is changing before our eyes in virtually every activity. How you behave, how you treat minorities, how you treat religions, everything is changing.
Good.
And of course it is. Greyhound racing and in horse racing. Let's use the example in horse racing. The Grand National, they've altered the fences. The public think they're the same. But there's been 5 years, there's been no deaths in the Grand National.
But what about the greyhound racing?
Yeah, but I'm saying how everything is changing.
But do you think from that point of view then more could be done for the greyhound tracks? Because that was undertaken in horse racing. Yes. They made changes as a consequence of that. And now it's safer because of the changes they made.
They've done so much in greyhound racing, they've banked the bends. If you look at the 1960s...
Thousands still died though, John.
No, they're not on the tracks.
The greyhound board released that 1,000 dogs died due to...
Not on the tracks.
Due to the racing, but due to the racing.
Yes, in kennels.
That's too many dogs.
In kennels.
That's too many dogs.
Horses die in stables.
So we're here to talk about the greyhounds.
Yes,
what's your reason for greyhound racing to still be active in the UK? Because people like a flutter. What about the cruelty aspect of it?
Well, the dogs love it.
They love to run. Greyhounds love to run. Of course they do.
I'd love to
but my dogs run in a field, in a park. Pet dogs love to run.
I would love to take you greyhound racing. And you see
I'm from a greyhound racing family.
And there you are.
I'm from a greyhound racing family.
So you can see how excited they are to be going towards the traps. They love it.
It's what they're conditioned to do.
At the pick-up or when they get to the artificial hair, they're all excited.
But it's what they're conditioned to do.
They love it.
Have you ever seen a greyhound in a home? Have you ever had a greyhound in a home as a pet?
No, they're wonderful.
They're completely different to the racing. So when they're racing, they're conditioned to chase the hare, to run.
That's all they're conditioned.
How do they condition
They're
that?
natural.
Because what John might argue is no one's forcing that.
Exactly.
They're not forced to run, but between 12 and 18 months, their training starts. So greyhounds then have their spirit broken. They're not allowed to be puppies. They're not allowed to be normal puppies as you get in home where they've got toys and treats. They're then trained to race. So the question's asked as well, what happens to the one that don't make the track? So Eli, who's here now, he didn't make the grade. He actually got hit over the head with a spade in Ireland. So the ones there's loads that don't make the track as well. So they're conditioned to run. Once I get them into me, they're completely different dogs. So they are quite pumped up. They want to chase things now. Once they've settled into a home, after a few weeks, they become pets, and they're completely different to race dogs. Race dogs are like machines, and this is how the racing industry sees greyhounds as machines, but they're not machines. They're living, beautiful, gentle dogs that's been exploited in this country for 100 years, and enough's enough now.
Yeah, but look, go back in history. Henry V.
It doesn't mean it's right history. That what's happening
in Shakespeare and Henry V.
Yeah.
I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips. That was in 1415 at Agincourt.
Yeah.
The history in this country of the noble greyhound has done so
Exactly,
much.
the noble
It's part of
greyhounds.
our history. They chase. Every greyhound wants to chase. Virtually everyone.
I've got greyhounds living with cats,
Yes.
chickens.
Yes.
They don't. Not all.
No,
greyhounds
of course
chase.
they don't, because when they are off the track and they're not being trained.
But it doesn't make it right that they want to chase.
Doesn't make it. They love it.
They love
If
to run.
I
Greyhounds
came
love to
down
run.
on earth, I would be a greyhound. I live
Greyhounds
in
love to
kennels,
run, don't
the
they?
fantastic kennel staff who look
okay,
after
so let me ask you this.
and
What
I
about the greyhounds that get run in the really harsh weather conditions, the snow, the fog, the rain, the ice? They get raced on bonfire weekends. If you've got a dog at home, you know how terrified they are of bonfire night. Yet it's allowed in this country to race greyhounds. It's also allowed in this country to take children to the dogs, to bet, to be around alcohol.
Children are not allowed to bet.
No, but they're allowed.
Bookmakers won't take
But they're
money
allowed
from
to
them.
go to the dogs. It's still
Yeah,
not
but you
right.
said to
There's-
bed,
No,
another-
never. I
and
said
you-
to the
yes, you
track.
did.
There's no place in society for greyhound racing anymore.
Kerry, what if there were to be a ban? I mean, the difficulty is, isn't it? You would have however many thousands of greyhounds that would
Yeah.
then be left.
I don't think it should be
completely
banned straight
in
away. It should be
limbo. And if
phased
there were
out
danger
over
then
5 years.
that it would go underground, it would drive it underground, where at least, you
There's not
know,
enough
now
money.
we've got some
There's not-
regulations
If it was banned, most of the money comes from the bookies, it comes from the public. You know, if it was banned, there's no money in it for it to go underground. It has to rely on the
Well,
bookies
people
to
made
make
that
the
argument
money.
about dog fighting, didn't they? And actually, there are still lots of incidences of dog
But it's
fighting.
never been legal dog fighting in the you know, the scale
In
of greyhound
modern,
racing.
yeah.
So there is flapping tracks in the UK, which is unregulated greyhound racing, and all them dogs come from the racing industry. 85% of the greyhounds in the UK are bred in Ireland. So if greyhound racing was phased out, then the breeding would stop in Ireland, so they wouldn't be coming over. You know, I work with some good
Breeding would
trainers
stop.
actually that do look after the dogs, but you can't take the dangers out of the industry. So you can't even insure a racing greyhound because the risk's so high to their life and to injury. So that in itself, how are we finding it acceptable to race dogs when we know potentially it could be their last race? It's not right. Morally, it's wrong.
Yeah, horse racing has had its levy. The bookmakers don't give anything to greyhound racing until recently. They now give £7 million. The Greyhound Board of Great Britain is going to raise that to £15 million. 75% of that money doesn't go to prize money, doesn't go to administration, it goes to greyhound welfare. So much money, 75%.
So it should. There shouldn't be a applauded for that. So it should.
Well, I think it's going to be one that we could carry on discussing, couldn't we, for some time. Thank you both for your time. Lots and lots of you have been getting in touch about this morning. Sarah's one of them. She says it should have been banned years ago, along with horse racing. All about the money, no thought for the animals during or after their race days. It's an awful sport, but
Untrue.
Ben gets in touch to say it is a great sport and involves great people who adore their dogs,
Yes.
from pups to retired. We love our dogs.
Yes.
And actually seeing the greyhounds in the corner of the studio here, I can attest to the fact they are beautiful dogs. And I
Fantastic.
sponsored a retired greyhound for a few years before it sadly died. But if anyone's looking for a pet, then they do make brilliant
And
pets at the same time.
GMB viewers, if you want a lovely pet, have a greyhound. We've been a member of a greyhound trust all our lives, my wife and the booby. You join, get a greyhound, you'll see how fantastic animals they are. But if you ban greyhound racing, you end the life of the species. It will no longer.
You don't agree with that,
No,
do you?
not at all.
We could debate this all day, but thank you very much. I bring it to our attention. Thank you very much indeed.
You're a potential murderess, you are. Potential murderess.
What a way to end, John. You like to light a fire, don't you, at the end of the debate?
It's true.
It's not. It hurts you.
Thousands of greyhounds will die because of you.
Thousands of greyhounds are dying because of you
they're
betting
not.
on them.
They're not.
We might
on
just
that
leave them
note-
discussing it, I think.
We better, hadn't we? Lots more still to come. You're watching Good Morning Britain on ITV.